Hey guys, so today I thought I would come on and just kind of show you not a day in my life, but a day in the life of when I'm baking. That's weird. But I'm basically getting ready to bake some pug cookies and hamburger cookies, but I don't have the cutters, so I actually printed out some outlines from online, and I'm going to cut them, and I'm also going to set up kind of like, I'm going to show you how I set up my station to actually cut, bake, decorate. This is my little corner where I bake, cut, and decorate and do all that stuff in it, and then it just goes everywhere. But let me show you how I set up my area. Let me show you how I cut these templates out and what I do to protect them. I'm usually really good about ordering cutters or getting the cutters that I need, but when I need to hand cut my cookies, what I like to do is I'll print them, and then when I cut them, I'll actually tape them with packing tape so that I can use them again in case I ever have an order like that again and I don't need to buy the cutter, or if I don't have time to buy the cutter, you know, whatever. I'm rambling, let me show you. Okay, so here's how my templates look, and these, what I usually do with things like this is when I have shapes that I've covered in tape, I actually save them, like I said in the beginning, in case I ever need them again. But I also want to show you guys a little bit of other things that I have here on the table and the things that I use on the days that I make cookies. Okay, so here I have a tub of icing. So usually when I'm working decorating cookies, because I'm actually working on Easter samples, so I have like pastel Easter colors, and what I do to try, and I'm just saying and emphasizing this, try to keep my kitchen clean or my table clean, is I use a tub like this. And when it's empty, it looks like this with a big lid. I got these at HEB. But I'll put in the colors that I'm using in the tub, any sprinkles that I'm using for those samples in the tub, any icing that is left, markers, so that I don't misplace them, because what I usually do is I'll misplace the things that I'm using, or I used to misplace it, so I just put everything that I'm using in a tub, including the scribe, so that if I have to pause and come back, I can find it. And I have like pieces of paper towels here to clean my scribes or edges. This you guys have seen in a video before, but this is my little cookie swivel, cookie turntable that I use when making cookies. I have my cookie dough here, and I did go ahead and package this in like cling wrap or saran wrap, and then I placed it in a Ziploc bag, and I took it out of the fridge in the morning so that it could be soft so I can roll out. And then here I'm gonna grab my rolling pin and my DoughEz Mat, and I have mentioned before that the DoughEz Mat comes with different sizes of rolling guides, and when I'm making cookies to sell or like for samples, I like to use the thicker rolling guides. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna use to set up my station, my dining table. I'll show you the process, how I roll out my dough, the things that I use to roll out my dough, and you guys have probably seen it in other videos, but really in the end, I just want to show you when I'm done, the amount of things and utensils and pans that are needed for actually making cookies. And this isn't even the decorating part, because when you're decorating, it's totally different. Which ties in kind of like to appreciating and knowing your worth when pricing your work. So I'm gonna show you that, and I'll come back in the end so we can look at all the mess. Okay guys, so before I go on, I am going to, so first I went ahead and put down my DoughEz rolling system. I do have parchment paper on here because since we are going to be cutting our shapes, I kind of want to protect my mat a little bit. I know it's not going to be enough protection, but I'm going to try to just go in enough so I can be able to pick up my design without damaging my mat. So I have a piece of parchment paper and I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle it with some powdered sugar, and then I'm gonna go ahead and place my dough onto my mat and begin cutting. I just wanted to come on and say that so that, you know, when I show you the time lapse or when it's sped up, you're not like, what is she doing? What is she doing? That's what I'm doing. Okay, so usually once I'm done, I'll take apart, or I'll pick apart the extra pieces so that it's a lot easier for me to transfer my cutouts. And this takes a lot of time. So what you actually saw was a little bit of a time lapse, but cutting cookies, especially by hand, takes twice, if not twice as long, maybe 3 times as long as when you actually have the cutters. So I do get a few questions on how I transfer my cookies over, because what some people do is they'll actually just transfer the whole parchment paper. But I did go ahead and cut a lot of these cookies really close, so they will expand a little bit, not too much. This is my no spread cookie dough, but obviously they will puff up a little bit. They won't lose their shape. So I take an offset spatula and then I dip it into icing sugar, powdered sugar, and then I just go ahead and I slide it under. I take off any excess and I bring it over to my baking tray, and okay, and I continue doing the same thing. Sorry, I said because I kind of nudged this cookie with my spatula, but it's fine, it survived. I'll take off this edge. There we go. So this is usually how my trays look, and I do use silicone mats to bake my cookies on, and I do use thicker baking pans or baking trays. I did do a little experiment about a year ago, so I wanted to see the difference on baking pans, parchment paper versus silicone. This is just what I prefer. You can certainly bake your cookies on parchment paper, but this is what I like to use. My cookie dough recipes are listed on my channel as videos. Currently I only have the vanilla and the chocolate recipe, but I will post this one soon. It's basically the vanilla recipe and you just add rainbow jimmies, but I'm gonna continue to cut. I'm gonna continue to do this, and then I'll come back before I put my cookies into the oven. Okay guys, so I'm finally done cutting out my cookies. It took me about 40 to 45 minutes to cut them out. But here's kind of like the mess that I have. So I have to put away the remaining dough because I'll use it for samples, or I'll use it for just projects that I want to work on. I have to put away my mat, throw away all this plastic, put this back. And then I also have some ring lights set out just to make sure that I have good lighting for you guys. And I do have my window open. Earlier there was a lot of wind, it was super windy, but I like seeing when the little snowflakes fall. But I'm glad that I'm inside. So, oh, and let me show you how my cookies look before they go into the oven. Okay, so here they are. These are my chocolate hamburgers, and that little piece is for me, obviously. And then here are the little pugs. Oh, that made it worse. Okay, so here are the sprinkle pugs, and I am preheating my oven to 350 degrees, and they will go into the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes because I love soft cookies. And I already want to eat that, but that's raw, it needs to cook. Here's another view of my workstation, or like work area. So this is actually how I set up when I don't film and just work. And usually on a regular day, like when I'm actually cutting out more than 1 dozen or more than a few cookies, what happens is it'll probably take me about an hour to 2 hours to finish, because remember that you have to make the dough, you have to set up your station, you have to clean up, you have to prepare your pans, you have to bake your cookies. So it's actually a long process. This is just a little snippet of what goes on and what happens. And these cookies are actually for my sister. I am sending them to her sometime this weekend after I finish decorating them. But when I'm baking for a client and they order more things, it usually takes me longer than however long this video is gonna be. So this is just a snippet. And it's also a reminder, you guys, that everything that you see on social media or all the cute, pretty things that you see is not how it happens. That is just for aesthetics, or it's just for you to have something pretty to look at. But the process is actually more time consuming. It takes a long time to prepare before you actually get to the decorating stage. So I'll come back and show you how my cookies look after they bake. And then I guess that's where the video is gonna end. I don't know, because it hasn't ended.